starting?
I pledge
Okay.
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which
Okay.
Son of God, indivisible, with liberty
And justice for all.
all. All right. Hi, everybody, welcome. Kathy, can you do a roll call for us, please?
You got it. Saban.
Present.
Schreiber.
Here.
Bergbauer. Bergbauer is absent. Galogly.
Here.
Oh, you're here? Okay. Deskin. Sorry, Galogly?
Here.
Okay, thank you. And Deskin, Lobes.
Here.
Bartleson. Bartleson.
Here.
Peretta.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum.
Why is it that you sound like you're in a tunnel?
She is.
Oh.
Everybody all right there? Yeah. All right. Hey, this is fun. My name comes up as Nellie because my daughter was using it.
Whoa,
So
Nelly.
if there's any confusion, yes, Nellie. All right. And I see Bill Carroll is in the house, our pastor on the auxiliary or the police department. Bill, can you open us up in a prayer, please?
Love to. Thanks. Dear God, we thank you that we can gather in all sorts of ways. Lord, first we thank you for Ben Benson's 25th anniversary and blessings on their marriage. And Lord, I think more now than ever, in this time of this different time, we ask for your wisdom and unity, Lord, as we make decisions that bring people back together and back into society and back into relationship and community together. And Lord, please allow our decisions and our conversations to lead to the years to come and return, Lord, to face-to-face and conversation to conversation. Lord, we thank you so much for our city. I thank you so much for this council, and I ask for wisdom and blessing upon each one of them. In your name, amen.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Bill.
All right, friends. Just quickly before we get into our meeting, and we've got obviously we're in the middle of this COVID-19 crisis, and we had the governor just put forth his phased plan on how to come back in, the Reopen Illinois plan. I will admit that I've had some serious questions about it and not understood a lot of it. Not that I don't understand it like intellectually, but I understand why the change. I mean, for me, it seems like a departure of the original plan, which was shelter in so that we can bend the curve, get our hospitals up running, make sure we have enough capacity, make sure we have protective gear, make sure we have testing equipment, all the things that we needed to do to prepare for an epidemic. Wasn't to eradicate the disease. We don't really have necessarily that power. We can't even get rid of the flu, even though we had vaccines. And so we understood that we were doing this to make sure that we could bend the curve. I felt that reading through the response that it seemed to be taking a new tact, which was, in the governor's words, to eradicate the virus. And I just, holding out for a vaccine before we're fully open is just seems a little mind-boggling. And I don't understand the change. I don't understand the dismantling of McCormick Place when we're just about to get to a place where we're expecting a resurgence of it. As the economy reopens slowly, we've all expected a surge in the numbers. That's been told to us since the beginning. It's part of bending the curve, but as we open up the valve, once we're prepared. So I don't understand the dismantling of it. And I have not been able to get any answers. I sent a message over to our senator today, and even he said, I was not aware of the governor's rollout yesterday. I had questions too. So, I mean, it's not even been run past the legislature in Illinois, which bothers me. So, trying to figure out how we can manage it in our community is becoming increasingly difficult. As you guys all know, we work to make this, grant and loan program for our small businesses Of course, that kind of became problematic when the shelter in was extended. It seemed like any money we're able to give out is probably, it's not gonna have as much effect as we hoped it would, because businesses are gonna continue to face a longer shelter in. And that's fine, man. I can actually live with that. I can live with the fact that as we fight a battle, sometimes you have to change gears and new stuff comes up. But what I'm having trouble with now is this shift, which seems to me, from bending the curve so that our healthcare system can handle it to we're going to hold out until we get a vaccine. These are the areas where I'm struggling with and trying to get some better answers. In the meantime, something I would like to do, and I've started talking with Terry at Lockport Love. By the way, can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
No, yeah?
Yes.
Yes.
You can. All right. It seemed like my screen froze for a second. All right. One of the things that I would like to do, and I reached out to Terry from Lockport Love and BJ, because I asked them that maybe they could be the drivers of this, is that anticipating what we've always been waiting for, which is as the curve is bent and we release the economy, meaning people can go back out to their normal lives, instead of like pretending that we're all, as susceptible as our most vulnerable people, we're accepting the fact that the people that generally have fatalities from this are elderly or people with pre-existing conditions. And so I'd ask them if we could start assembling a good array of volunteers, and if we could start building a database, which would be totally voluntary, of people who are elderly or feel that they have pre-existing conditions, which are going to not want to go back out into the world as things, shelter in comes to an end. We can help take care of these folks. We can do the grocery runs. We can have people go cut their grass or take their garbage down. We need to make sure that we protect the most vulnerable in our community as the rest of us go out, and with the 98% chance that we'll recover from it if you're healthy and under 50 and so forth. So we want to keep working towards that, even though this end of the month date seems to be fuzzy now with the new plan put forth. But I'm going to continue to work on that here during this coming week, and I'd like to have that in place for the end of the month regardless. So just want to give you guys a heads up on that. All right. Anybody, anything for liaison reports? Any comments, concerns for that?
I'd like to give an update from the police. They placed 100 lock your car door signs all over town. Did everybody see those already?
Yep.
And they'd like to know from the council, Terry would like to know if you'd like them to buy more. So do you like the signs? Do you think they're effective? And do you want more? I only know the surrounding areas, like the subdivisions around here. I cannot say like where you are, JR or Christine, Darren even. Does it seem like there's enough signs out by your way? Any feedback?
I think the signs are effective because we can see it as soon as you drive into Cedar Ridge.
But the question is, do we have enough signs out?
Well, I guess everybody has to kind of answer whether or not they see them at the corners or whatever. I think every entryway, especially to a subdivision, should probably have one if we want to really be out there. I was shocked when I saw our sign out there. I had to adjust it and put it somewhere so that it didn't interfere with the grass cutting, because otherwise it could get damaged. But I think it's but I do think that maybe they need to put them in every entryway of the areas or streets, whatever is,
I don't have one in my subdivision, but we're pretty small in here. I'm 6 at one and half a dozen on the other. It's almost like you have to be told to lock your car. I mean, if you're going to leave your car outside and you have anything in it or nothing in it, lock the door. Doesn't take a rocket scientist.
yeah, you think that makes common sense. Unfortunately, that's why I think the Lockport is up for grabs, because who's ever doing it knows that there's a lot of cars that are being left unlocked, and it's a shame, even with their garage door open, which, people really have to, they're doing it at the end of the evening.
You know what, bottom line is, I'm fine if the chief feels like there's some areas, or the council feels that there's some more areas that could be peppered with these things. It's just one of the things, it's like all marketing, right? Out of sight, out of mind, but if you're constantly in people's face, you'll be reminded to do things like, who's getting
May I-
out of lock my doors.
May I say something from a realtor's standpoint that I'm selling properties in the area? I recently went to some properties in Romeoville, and all over the subdivision are big signs that say, towing, don't park here, warning, every single entranceway. And I mean, the first thing I said to them, well, obviously they have parking problems, so you don't want to buy in here. So I don't think they should be everywhere. I think they should, I think we need to get the word out, lock your damn doors. I mean,
Well, you know what, I'll say,
like we're a town that gets.
Right, I would agree with
Time?
Renee that if we have too many signs up saying, lock your doors, then maybe we're telling people that are visiting that we have a problem with
Right.
theft. So the one thing I would recommend is if maybe as council members, we could get a PDF of the sign itself, and then we can post it in all of our homeowner association Facebook groups.
Right.
It's a good
You'd
idea.
rather see signs that say, we have a neighborhood watch group, blah, 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 someone's watching you, rather than, hey, lock your doors because someone's gonna steal from you.
So I was
And
told,
maybe you're right, maybe Renee, that's where we go,
you can talk, Steve.
You're froze.
I think you froze.
Yo, Nelly.
Nellie, you're frozen.
So
There you
I
are.
just wanted to say there's only 100 signs out now. Does it seem like it's all over the city? I
I've seen
can't answer that question. Does it seem like there's a lot? Does it seem like there's not a lot? I don't know. I don't know what the downtown area looks like.
Catherine, in our area.
Should just drive down there and look.
Yeah.
But he just mentioned this to me, a few hours ago, so I had not gone out there to look.
Well, I've seen them everywhere.
Okay, well, that's good. So maybe we've got enough of them. I don't know.
I think.
I mean, if there's 100 out there, that's pretty good. But maybe as council members, or if we have a list of Facebook groups where we can post it as images, then people can share out those images versus us making more signs. Because I know that I could easily post in 4 different Facebook groups.
just trying to get to it.
Again, I still think we should take it from a proactive and say, hey, we have a great neighborhood watch. Yours
Yes.
being watched, with the little guy looking over the edge or something. Make it catchy rather than,
Mhm.
I've seen them and I didn't care for it. I'm like, really? You gotta be told to lock your door?
I mean, do we have a listing of where we have those metal neighborhood watch signs? Or is it pretty much at the entrance of every subdivision?
Why don't,
I don't know, I think Terry put them out.
I was buzzing around town today and I just happened to, today and yesterday, and I just happened to see, I don't remember exactly where, but I saw enough of them that I thought, ew, I don't think I'd even want to move here.
I would buy
Well,
a,
you know what,
pretty
the
much
the
every.
bottom line, you guys, is this. There is a problem.
Right, there is.
It is all throughout the western suburbs. We're trying to be proactive about it. It's not just about signage. We had our online meeting the other day with starting to form the neighborhood watch and Chief has been actually working with the other municipalities and starting to track these clowns and figure out where they are. So it's part of a process that it's not, we're not looking to have these signs out there permanently or forever. It's just kind of for a season here, for a reminder. But I think as we get our neighborhood watch in place, then we switch that messaging.
That's a
So-
good idea. Yeah, I like that.
All right, well, why don't we give it a little time, and then as we get the neighborhood watch thing set up, we'll switch the messaging.
Yeah, I think there's enough signs out there, to be honest with you right now.
All right, my friends, anybody got anything else?
I just wanted to just reiterate that for this year, we will not be having any of the beautification recognitions. I think it'd be best if we just waited, because the whole thing was to have people recognized on TV at one of the meetings. So due to the fact that we're not having regular meetings, if it's okay with council, we'll wait until next year and we'll start over again. Because I think people enjoyed it. We had good groups of people participating in the beautification awards. So, this year, we should probably kind of just, not move forward with that.
Are you sure
How do you
about
feel
that?
about that?
See, I think the opposite. I think it's something that would give some people something to look forward to and to do and participate in.
Well, are we going to be having this type of meeting in June? Because June is usually, you know, yes, it's July, I guess we usually have recognition for spring, summer, and then we proceed with fall. We could certainly see how all this, you know, plays out, and then we could do the, you know, Halloween, the fall, and then, you know, the Christmas.
I would like to have one of being locked up where their kids are doing plantings and they're doing new types of plantings. So even if we don't have to have a recognition ceremony in June or July for them, we could still have them enter a competition, and then we can promote on our social media, maybe put a sign in their front yard and indicate that they had had a very nicely done garden, very nicely done front yard. So I can see where you're coming from, Joanne, where they really can't come into the meetings, but I think it'd be kind of cool if we almost did what you would call a victory garden that they had back during the war, where people, so.
We could do a little drive-by ceremony and put, like you say, put something in their yard.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, if that's how council feels, you know, then I gotta get going on it.
All right, Joanne.
And I really don't know that people have actually, you know, signed up or got applications. I'll have to check. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for doing it. All right, anybody else got anything? All right, why don't we jump into it? Ben, CA1.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Can everybody hear me okay? I changed headsets, so I'm assuming it's working fine. This is an agreement with Karen Evans. She is the owner of 1023 South Hamilton Street. This is for the additional public parking to add to the downtown parking lot that we had discussed at a prior meeting. The overall design considerations had combined several of the parking lots between 10th and 11th, if you recall, to help support the downtown businesses. One of those areas that we'd like to include in the design that isn't really part of the property owners on State is this parcel on Hamilton. The back of the, it's a home, it's a rental home. The back half of it has about an 80-foot by 80-foot space that we'd like to incorporate into the parking lot. We attempted to purchase it from the owner. They were reluctant to do that. They had some different reasons, but they were open to a lease agreement with a long-term possibility and the option to purchase for the city later. So we'd like to move forward with this. We think we're going to gain about 14 to 16 spaces. We really haven't been able to finalize the design because we've been waiting on those other shared parking agreements, which is on another agenda item this evening. But before you tonight, to help bring additional parking to the downtown, we'd like to go into a lease agreement with this gentleman and his wife on this property. It's two 10-year leases at $550 a space. We kind of use some mathematics between rental spaces for parking in Joliet and Bolingbrook and other communities nearby. It equates to about $7,700 a year for a lease. We can use the gaming funds to utilize that cost. So we're looking to approve the resolution 20054 with this lease agreement with Karen Evans. This will again add more parking to the downtown. The shared parking agreement that we have with all the other property owners has been signed except for the one gentleman that's also going to be on the next agenda, the Gallus Properties, and he's wondering what will transpire with this request first, and then we'll get into the next agenda item. So if there's any questions about adding the additional parking space, there's a survey in your packet for the spaces that we could add. And right now, I think it's going to add at least 14 to 16 spaces.
I'm good with it.
I'm good.
Okay.
Is it it's okay with everyone?
Yes.
Right. Then if,
The next,
go ahead, what's?
the next item, Mayor, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I can't speak.
Yeah, go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, they're tied together.
Consent agenda or item?
Okay.
Hold on one,
The next resolution.
hold on 1 second.
20
Ben, sorry, Kathy can't speak. She wants to know if it's going to be on consent agenda or action item.
We may
Yeah,
We may
I'm
want
fine
to
with
listen
either.
to this, the second item, and because they're part and parcel with both. So
Sure.
if the consensus is to move one to the action, but they both should be to the action, or if one's for consent, they should be both to consent.
I agree.
So we can,
Okay, so,
why don't I explain the next item and then we can decide both. How's that sound? The next item that does go hand in hand with this, and there's a nice aerial of all the lots that are going to be in, is Resolution 20055, is that shared parking agreement that we brought up a couple months back. All the property owners have agreed. All the property owners except for one has signed. He's just asking to be able to get some dedicated parking. The Boss Properties is Joe Gallus's properties. He's got several residential apartments down there right now. And his concern is he's the only property that has a private parking area right now. There's actually a wall that blocks off the Jackie's and the John Graves property from his area. He also has a 3-car garage that we intend to demolish and remove and make public parking. And so we felt it was reasonable that he was asking for some dedicated spaces or the ability to have some displaced parking. And what we mean by that is the city owns a lot of lots in the area, and we would be in control of this new one as well. And his concern was if he had a resident coming home from work at 11 o'clock at night and the bars were all full and there was no parking, where was his resident going to park? And so we felt it was reasonable to have this secondary agreement with him for his residents only, where they can park, they can get an overnight permit, just like we operate with the Hamilton Street lot for this lot. And if there's no availability, he can overflow into other city spaces in the downtown, and we provided a map for those locations as well. So he's not asking for compensation or anything. He just wanted to make sure that his residents had parking. It goes hand in hand with the second agreement, which is all the participants, including him, in regards to having the shared access agreement that allows us to finish the vision of a shared parking lot for everyone supporting the downtown. So again, we're asking to approve the resolution 20055, which authorizes 2 agreements for the downtown, which would be one to have all the easement and the shared access parking lot, and then the second one for the Boss Properties to have some dedicated overnight parking for just his residents. So really, there's 3 agreements, there's 2 votes to bring these 3 items together. We were seeking approval. It's your whether it's consent or action, it doesn't matter to me, I guess.
Sure. Well, let me just say this, Ben. Thank you. I know that this kind of consolidation is very difficult to make happen, and so I appreciate all the hard work you and staff have done to try to work with everyone down there to get this assembled. You know, a lot of times when you see a public area for parking like this, people take it for granted and when it's there, but right now you've done a good job assembling it. So, what do you guys want to do? Is this
I just wanted a quick question. How many
Consent.
slots will it be when it's all continuous? Because I'm looking at those arrows. How many slots do we have total back there for everything with all the pieces on?
I'd have to count them all up. I haven't actually done, there's been some design discussions that may change the location of the bin. So I'd hate to throw a number out that says, 60, and maybe it ends up 55, and maybe it ends up 40. It just depends. Again, this concept that you see on your screen now is just that, a concept. We haven't gone to the final designs because we didn't want to spend any more money until we got the cross-access agreement. So this may change a little bit, what you see on your screen. But at the end of the day, we are going to gain spaces, whether it's 14 or 25, I can't really be exact at this point. But we are going to be gaining spaces.
It's all designed to flow from, one street to all set.
From 10 to 11th. Right now, you can't drive from 10 to 11th. There's actually a wall in the middle. And we're going to propose to remove that wall and remove that garage, and then have it all free-flowing, and then add the additional parking into the Hamilton lot, or the Hamilton Street house that has the additional parking, and flow very well. We've talked to some of the other property owners about trying to expand even more, but right now, this is the most that we can add. And also, please note in the drawing, you'll see a pedestrian walkway for a sidewalk that leads from State to this parking lot. So the whole point of this parking lot is to support those businesses on State Street, including the ones on the west side of the street. And then don't forget the city is also in the process of acquiring that vacant lot adjacent to Jackie's that we will hopefully envision another building on as well. So this will really, between this and that redevelopment agreement, will totally transform that block between 10th and 11th. We did add an access from 10th last year. If you recall, that was closed. And so now you have at least 2 entryways to get into this new parking lot.
And if I just, if I may add, that once this agreement is finalized and approved by all the parties, we're actually going to close on that purchase of that parking lot next to Jackie's Pub. So this is kind of, it's all tied together, and the actual purchase and closing is dependent and contingent upon this agreement being approved by all parties.
Yeah, I'm good. Let's just put it on an action item.
All right, request for an action item.
Action.
Okay.
Thank you for your hard work, Ben, on this. Ben, thank you for your hard work on this.
Yeah, Ben.
You bet. Thank you.
Fantastico. We'll jump down to,
Easy one, I believe.
all right, sorry.
Tennis courts.
Easy one.
All right, who's doing PZ1?
So I will. Thank you, Mayor and Council. This one is for U.S. Tennis Courts. They are located between Canal and Davie Street on the west side of the I&M Canal. This is actually their second property. They own and operate the property that's on the east side of Industrial, or the north side of Industrial Drive. This would be a expansion of their property on the south side of Industrial Drive. They're seeking approval of a special use permit for a contractor shop with outdoor storage. They are in the M1 Limited Manufacturing District. These are also the final development plans for a almost 13,000 square foot building, and the property is located at 1300 Canal Street. We had the public hearing at the March 10th or April 14th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. The commission found the proposal favorable and met the requirements related to a special use permit. There was a little bit of discussion related to the downtown plan and how that historically has shown residential over on the west side of the canal. I've talked with a couple council members as well as the Plan Commission member that was talking about those items, and the interesting thing about that, for anybody who's talked to the industrial owners over there, the entire premise behind planning that area for residential is that all of those industrial users would need to either be relocated by the city, or they would need to relocate themselves. And in talking with a number of them over the years, none of them really have an interest in moving anywhere, and so the M1 zoning has stayed in place, and this is consistent with that M1 zoning and the special use permit. The recommendation is that for approval, the Plan Commission voted 6-1, with the one voting negative because of that downtown plan item. The special use permit they voted in favor of the final development plans. Another condition of the separate signage permit will be required. The mechanical equipment will have to be screened, and the inspection fees and the financial guarantee will need to be provided as per engineering. That's the conclusion of the report.
The only comment that I have, Lance, is on the cover page. Under item number 7, it says the date was 11/19/20. If we can amend that, I'm assuming it was 1/19. Yeah, so we just amend that, so the records reflect that.
Can do.
But I'm good with everything.
100%. 100%. And I'm not just saying that because I play tennis all the time. Yes, you.
I think Ben muted me.
Lance, you got muted, buddy. Sorry.
I know, you muted me.
There you go. Sorry.
Nellie is muted too.
Mayor, if you're talking, you're muted right now.
Got it. He's back on.
Okay, who knows what happened? All right, anybody else have any further questions, concerns?
Consent or action item?
Consent or action?
Okay, we good with, is it consent item or?
Consent.
Okay, if there's nobody who wants action, that's fine, we'll just put it on consent.
Consent.
Okay,
Next item.
all right. Yes, please, go ahead.
All right, next item is PZ2. This is PZC case number 2019-023. This is the Redwood property. This was heard at the March 10th, 2020 Plan and Zoning Commission meeting. Our recommendation tonight is to defer this case to a date to be determined by the City Council. Thanks. I think the mayor is frozen again. There he is.
Yes. All right,
We can't hear anybody.
okay.
You're muted.
Sorry, I missed what you said, but.
Joanne was speaking.
I mean, just FYI, so I did talk to the folks. If we could bump this, she was willing to bump it to first meeting of June. And again, you know, with the governor's new mandate, I mean, there's really no end in sight about how this is going to play out, or how many people we can meet. In the meantime, though, I have started meeting with residents. One of the reasons I was late here tonight was I was talking to a few of them downstairs, you know, with our social distancing practices in place. So I want to make sure that everybody feels like they have an opportunity to be heard as this concept is put before the council. So I will continue to meet with as many residents who want to talk about this with me. I know that all the folk from that ward too have been listening. So I'm going to make sure we gather as much of the concerns together, and then we can go back.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to have it committee of the whole for the last meeting of May, with going City Council for the first meeting of June. I think the staff has done an incredible job. I think you've done an incredible job getting the truth out there, answering a lot of the false information proprietors. But I believe that based off of how it's gone through Planning and Zoning Commission, the amount of effort, the amount of factual information we have out there, the amount of opportunities, this really should go on the last meeting of May for committee of the whole to then be placed towards us on the first meeting of June. You know, there are a lot of other subdivisions that we had approved immediately after that Planning and Zoning Commission that I feel that we've given so much opportunity for this one development. And so honestly, I would like it to go to the committee of the whole for the last meeting of May, and then City Council for the first meeting of June.
I'm in agreement. I'm in agreement with Mark. You know, it's been it would be 10 weeks since it was heard by the Planning Commission. Anybody and everybody who has had an opportunity to reach out to any of the council people. I've received 3 emails in 8 weeks. I just think we just need to go ahead and hear this. The developer has every right to have us hear this on May 20th, and then we discuss it and then we vote on it on the first meeting in June.
Well, so let's just looking for council direction on that. So.
Mr. Mayor, I got a question for you. How many people have you spoken to? How many people have reached out to you?
Personally, just 3 tonight. Those are the first time I've had an opportunity.
So with all the communication that's been out there, the feedback has been very small.
Yeah, I know there's a couple other folks that want to talk, and it's need to put the phone number out there too. So, you know, I originally was going to meet everybody in my office before this whole COVID thing shut us all down. So I felt, you know, like I always, you know me, I come in here, they'll talk past their 5 minutes, probably drives you guys crazy, but like, it's just kind of my style. But I always like to make sure people are heard. But I feel like everyone who's wanting to be heard, even before the last meeting in May, will have an opportunity.
But I agree with the other 2 councilmen that we need to push this forward, keep it going.
Mayor, may I ask a question? The people
He's
that have
frozen.
contacted you,
He's
whether
frozen.
it's by-
This is like
by-
approval,
Mayor's
then
frozen.
preliminaries, it's a long process, so we'll have plenty of time for any other concerns as well.
The
All right,
problem
so-
with passing it right now is they can't even do a proper survey then of how many cars are coming through on Farrell Road.
That's actually, no, I would actually disagree with that. I've seen information from 2019 that shows exactly the amount of cars that are on all of our major thoroughfares from the Illinois Department of Transportation. And you can zoom in and you can choose specific intersections, north, south, east, or west, specifically with that intersection right there. Now, what I saw there is there's less traffic every day on the south portion of Farrell than there is on Briggs by a factor of about 30%. Now, that's just 2019. If you are assuming that between 2019 and 2020, traffic may have gone up by 30%, I would find that really hard to believe. Now, I'm sure staff and I'm sure the developer can do a further traffic study once things get moving again. But as we've been told as council members, we've had a lot of information behind the scenes from our staff, and I applaud all of them for getting us factual information. But really, we have seen that data. We have seen that information. We know what the truth is. And so as you know, Catherine, if there is going to be a stoplight there, we know that the developer could, if they had to, help us install a stoplight at that intersection. But according to the IDOT information, that portion of Farrell has about 30 to 35% less traffic than Briggs just down the way. And so I am a little upset that after all we've been given with factual information over the past many weeks, that we are suddenly being told that, wait, why don't we do another traffic study? I applaud the mayor, I applaud Ben, I applaud Lance, I applaud everyone that has been doing so much for this during this really difficult time. But I'm not going to keep delaying this process because of if, ands, or buts. We have the factual data out there, and the factual data shows us exactly what is happening. And so, no, I am not going to do and wait and delay because of little things here and there. We have the information, we have the data.
Well, I would like to disagree with you. This year is different than 2000.
No, it's not different. You can't disagree with facts. You cannot disagree with facts. The only difference you have, no, Catherine, the only thing you have right now is less traffic. However, if you look at the information from 2019, if you look at the information from IDOT from 2019, with the traffic study done on that road, it is less than it is on Briggs by a factor of 30 to 35%. Now, if you think that traffic has suddenly magically increased on Farrell over the course of 10 to 11 months by 30 to 40%, then that will be shown in a future study. But as I've said, we've seen the data, we've seen the factual information, and I am not enjoying the fact that everyone who keeps giving us factual data and giving us the truth keeps being misinterpreted. Now, again, I applaud the city staff. I applaud Ben. The mayor has done a superb job on this. I applaud that Redwood individuals have been insulted, have been questioned about their factual information, and frankly, we need to move forward. And right now, I'm not going to dwell on rumors and opinions. Rumors and opinions aren't facts. Data is facts.
All right, so bottom line is, do we have, I mean, obviously we're not discussing this tonight anyway for any kind of vote. We need to do, we've already agreed to bump it. So do we bump it for the end of the month or the first meeting of June? That's really what we're looking for at the moment. May 20th.
May 20th. Committee of the whole, sorry.
I'd go for May 20th as well.
I'll go for May 20th. It only makes sense.
And I would think it needs to be in July, as that would be possibly the soonest the public can come speak.
Mayor, how many people came tonight?
Well, I had 3 people.
Are we gonna go over that? Because in all fairness, I didn't even know there was a meeting that was occurring tonight with the mayor until I read it because of Renee posting it on Facebook. So as the alderman of the 4th Ward, you really wanna go with that? You really wanna go with that argument that I wasn't even notified until I had to question it?
Excuse me, Catherine, you know what, Catherine? I think we have, Catherine, you know what? We have seen enough of your behind the scenes maneuvering with this. And it's time that you sit back and let the facts and the data and the professionals do their job.
All right, look, here's the thing. I'm going to continue to meet with anybody who wants to talk with me. This is a concept anyway. It's not anything that means it's happening. It's just, this is where we first throw all our concerns and cares and worries and to the developer, and that's going to happen over these next few meetings. Preliminary won't be for some months beyond that. But I will continue to meet with as many people as I can to make sure, in case there's something I haven't thought of, I want to make sure that we all bring it to the table. But in the meantime, it sounds like there's consensus for the last week, or the last meeting in May, and then we'll have city council in June. And we'll go from there. But look, these are kind of projects that get passionate, and I appreciate people's, passions on these things, but I'm sure everybody has a voice as we move forward.
Excuse me, Mayor, in all fairness, we have been telling residents that it would be June 1st, that we would have the first opportunity to talk about this. But,
That wasn't a council decision. That wasn't a decision made by the council.
That was a conversation I had with Redwood and said, hey, how do you guys feel about June? And they were fine with it, but Darren's correct. It's not like I went to the council and asked this. So if the council feels strongly about moving it to the meeting before then, that's fine too. Redwood is open to either. So ultimately, as Darren points out, it's a council decision. So if you guys have a consensus for the end of May, fine. I know it's awkward on this thing to really understand everybody. So who wants to?
We do hope the public can join when it comes to June 3rd. Right? We don't know for sure at this point, but the Attorney General's office has also rendered opinion in nearby communities that the Zoom meeting with the format, with the communication, the social media, the emails, the questions, the public meetings that the mayor is doing, we are more than meeting our obligation for the Open Meetings Act to have interaction with petitioners, objectors, and residents and elected officials. So if the consensus from the council is to move forward with the 20th, we can certainly prepare for that.
So that'll be our first discussion then, would be May 20th then?
Correct. And if directed by the council after that presentation, a final action for the concept plan could take place on June 3rd.
Or
Sounds good.
It could be later. So, okay.
Correct.
Okay.
You could always defer it again.
All right. So I mean, from what I hear, we'll do it in next meeting, and then
Sure. Lance will prepare his presentation for May 20th, and then we'll take direction again from the committee of the whole, from the council.
okay. All right, my friends. All right. What's next on our agenda?
CED 1. Lance,
Yep, CED 1.
Yeah. Next item is CED 1. It's for ordinance number 20011. This is basically a just a reformatting to get the fire code information related to the fees and other things back in sequence. When we approved the building building code updates in March on the 3rd, the fire code got discombobulated with the numbering system. So we need to approve this so that we can get this back up onto the municipal code. There are no changes to the fees that are listed in here, with the exception of 4 items, and it's related to the construction value chart. That is the one that's on the table. It's called building valuation construction cost change. The last 4 listings that were on that somehow did not get changed from the previous code. That was the one, if you remember, was the last update was 1992. We had proposed reshuffling of that construction cost value to represent actually today's numbers and all of our costs. So those changes need to occur to update that because the highest construction value is actually cost less than the ones that were above that, which have a lower construction value. So we need to reconfigure that so that all works together now. Recommendation is to approve the ordinance 2011 to correct those errors and get the fire district fees back into the ordinance, and we would certainly encourage it going on to consent if necessary.
I'm good with that.
Good with consent.
I'm good with consent.
Good with consent.
Consent.
No. I think we lost the mayor again. All right. He shouted to me from the hallway to go on. So moving on to CED2. This is an adjustment to the fire and sprinkler alarm system installation program. This is really a mirror to our facade grant program. And the modifications that we're making in here are a couple of grammatical items that need to be modified. Plus, we are removing the lien requirement, which we did similarly for the facade grant improvement when we redid that in March. So that's an update. And then we're trying to align the exhibits that we require in the facade grant with the exhibits that we're requiring with this, so that there's not a lot of confusion. If somebody picks up both, there's not completely different requirements between the two. So similar to the fire code stuff, this is mostly a grammatical cleanup as well as removing the lien requirements to mirror what we had done for the facade grant.
Sounds good.
No,
Everybody okay with this?
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, I'm good with that too. Thank you.
All right, throw it on consent then.
Okay.
Okay.
Moving on to item CED3. This is a timely fire alarm system installation assistance grant request for the property at 704 East 9th Street in the amount of $4,735. This is basically for Gadris Lasinkas. I'm going to mess up the name, but Lasinkas. He is the person who redid the auto dealership on 9th Street recently with the facade program. He has purchased what used to be the parsonage building for the Congregational Church of Lockport on 9th Street as well. He is looking to update it and make it into a commercial use to match its current zoning that is on that particular property. One of the requirements is to have a fire alarm system in there, so he is requesting assistance through the grant program to install that.
All right, questions, concerns?
Sounds good.
Sounds really good.
Good.
Okay. I think we're all pretty thrilled with what this person did with Catalina Motors, so
Yep.
Yes,
good stuff.
very much so.
All right, so we'll put that on consent then?
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
All right, lastly, we have PW1.
All right, PW-1 this evening. Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, good, thank you. Sitting in here for Ben, I was gonna try to do a radio-only face tonight, but Ben grabbed me and told me I couldn't do that, so had to get on camera. This evening, we do have one item for Public Works. This is for the Bruce Road I-355 interchange. This is a project that has been discussed for a number of years and considered for a number of years. This would provide another on-off ramp from 355 onto Bruce Road. This would be a similar to 127th Street. It would be from all directions. It would give access to Bruce Road from 355 and vice versa. This would be the first step. So this is a project that not only the city has talked about, but also the tollway. So the tollway has this in their books as a potential project. The project cost is something that we would need to look at, but we're estimating in the approximation of about 25 million. With that, obviously the funding of this overall project is not something that we would be looking to have the city put together completely. This would be a project that we would need funding from. An 80-20 grant would be outstanding, and then that final 20% still being $5 million. Having the tollway potentially split that, which preliminarily they have said that they would consider. So the city would be on the hook for roughly $2.5 million, making it a little bit more palatable. So this is just the first step to this whole process, several-year process at minimum. This would be a pre-phase 1 concept study, so this is just us taking a look at potential options, looking at the right-of-way that has been laid out. So this is right-of-way that the tollway has set aside for this in the future. And at this time, we would be asking for council's consideration to award this project to Christopher Burke Engineering in the amount of $49,820. They do quite a bit of work with the tollway.
Hey, Brent?
Yes,
Really quick question. So this entire interchange is City of Lockport?
that is correct.
Okay.
If you guys, before we get into it, you guys.
Can I just try to get a little background here?
Yeah, that's what I was going to do, Darren. I was going to try to lay this out. So,
Well, here, this background goes all the way back to 1995. The city of Lockport has an agreement with the Illinois Tollway, tollway system prior to the tollway is going to be built. And so what happened is Lockport was granted three exits with the option of number 4 at Bruce Road. For each of the three interchanges we have now, Lockport did have a financial stake in all three of those. And so this isn't anything new. It's 25 years in the making. I'm very happy with this. This is something I've been working on, for about 11 years now, is to go ahead and make this viable. If you're to go ahead and drive out there, some of the pre-engineering has already been done. You'll see the ramps. They're actually there. But yeah, Brendan was correct. The city of Lockport will be on the hook for some money. Okay, and it was about $26 million in 2004 dollars. That was the cost, and at that time it was the city of Lockport's total responsibility for number 4. So hopefully we could go ahead and get some type of a deal with IDOT and to go ahead and make it 80-20. And if that's the tollway authority. And if that's the case, it's going to save us a lot of money. And what that does, should this ever be built sometime in the next 10 years or so, there's an immediate relief valve from all the traffic that's coming from the south. Great idea. We're probably getting it.
Just to add to that, Darren, the allowable time period for us to pay that $2.5 million, it sounds like the tollway would consider a 5-year payback period. So we would be looking at about again, if it's the $2.5 million, $500,000 over 5 years. So it is, we do have that period of time to pay back. It's not a lump sum potential payback.
And if you guys forgive me, the worst signal out there. So, but I did want to say something. And if you covered this already, Darren, then just stop me. But one of the other reasons why we've been, looking to put this on the table is because when the Bruce Road Caton Farm Bridge, if it ever is going to be built, the maddening thing that we've all found was because of the nature of who funds it, the feds and the county and the state, that an interchange was not going to be part of this. It was going to end up not even connecting to the highway, even though it was the east-west route, which if it's ever going to be effective to have the east-west, traffic move on this road, it was going to have to connect to the highway at 355. So if we can get out ahead of this and actually get this on the docket, then we can all go to, I've had some preliminary talks with the tollway. But if it's like all projects, the more proactive we are, the more likely we can to get this developed. And then all these things are going to happen. One day when the Bruce Road Caton Farm Bridge happens, and if this tollway interchange is there when they connect, then that's where the traffic's going to go. And all the worrying about Gauger Road and that kind of stuff. The goal of getting this developed is so that all that traffic can go directly to the highway where people are trying to go to. So This is one of the reasons why we're trying to be proactive on this.
I love it.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay, so are we good with the consent on this?
I just really want to quickly
Yes,
ask,
please.
Yes,
Yeah, Catherine has something. What's that, Catherine?
real quickly, how do we fund the 2.5 million? Have we discussed that with Lisa, or where do you think the money's coming from? Is it going to be bonds taken out for it? What is the plan on that?
Yeah. Go ahead, Lisa, did you?
Yeah, no, we would have to identify a funding source for it.
Because this is a project that, look, the Bruce Road Caton Farm, bridge is
Not gonna happen tomorrow.
10, 10 years if all the stars align, 20 years if we're lucky, 30 years most likely. But I do know this, how this works, when we've all had enough experience on this council, that is if you don't start getting these projects on the docket now, they'll never happen. So if we can get this phase done and we can put it in the queue, that's step one that needs to be done. So, and then.
Again, isn't it, like, if we want to get any kind of funding from IDOT or any kind of grants, again, we have to have steps taken, preliminary steps, and be ready to say, here's our reasoning, we've got all this done. So we've got to take the first few steps.
It's like anything, the more proactive we are, the more likely we get something done.
No, I'm only asking that because it's my understanding we're going to have to fund part of Gauger too. And I just wanted to know long-term then, do we have an action plan for, this is 2.5 million. If they said, okay, you can start in 5 years, we still took out some money for bonds to do work now. I was just wondering what the time frame was, and if you discussed, okay, if we did this in 5 years, if we did this in 7 years, however soon you start, do we have some idea of where it's coming from?
No, and Gauger is meant to be funded by the state at this time, not the city. That was the whole point of having the middle alignment route shifted. That's where people were going to go. But the real goal for me, the diabolical plan, has always been to actually get this interchange made instead, which was never part of the whole county plan. It was crazy. It just, the road went up and over I-355 and then went up the middle alignment. But this is a way of trying to get these two entities, the tollway and the state, to work together so that we have an interchange. And the truth is, water flows, takes the easiest path all the time. So once all this is developed, that's where the traffic goes. It's going to go on to the tollway and not up and down Gauger. And so that's the goal here.
Mayor, if I could, the current bond that we have outstanding after this year only has 8 years left. So my guess is the timing would be, aligned pretty closely with that so that we wouldn't have any other debt on the books at that point.
Okay. All right, so we're good with consent?
Mayor, very quickly.
Let's go action, just so everybody can vote, yes or up or down.
Okay.
I'm okay with action, but I think it's a really good idea.
Yep, me too.
I agree.
Did you have something else, Brent?
Yeah, the other reason that this is very critical right now is my third paragraph in the memo. The Veterans Memorial Tollway Bike Path is going to be started this year, and the city has put in 10% of that cost, about $500,000. And as of right now, with the alignment, we don't know exactly where this interchange would have to go. And so what we're doing is we're trying to lay out the roadway and avoid having to expend a lot of money that we're putting out now, a lot of rework. So the benefits to doing it right now are that we can provide a layout, we can provide something that at the Veterans Memorial Tollway, spending money twice.
Okay. All right, very good. Thank you. All right, has anybody got anything else?
Very quickly, Mayor, if I may, Renee, you mentioned the importance of doing phase 1 and phase 2. We received word just Monday from the Will County Governmental League that we received both projects that we went into 80/20 submittal for. We were awarded both of those projects. So the Illinois 7 and Illinois 171 streetscape project and resurfacing, we were awarded that project. So that's an 80/20. The year for that is 2021. So provided COVID can wrap up here and we can continue to work with IDOT. We've had some some delays just with everybody working from home. But provided we can do that, that project will go in 2021 at 80/20. And then also our Illinois 7 channelization project, we were also awarded that. The positive is we were awarded that. The negative is it's not until 2024. It's the biggest project that the Will County Governmental League was funding. So in order to put some money together and fund the entire thing for us, 2024 is the construction year. But two outstanding projects and two projects that, because we were able to do phase 1 and phase 2 for both of them, we were given high marks. We were the third and fourth rated projects in the county. So,
All right.
very, very nice.
Very good.
Nicely done.
Yep.
Nicely done.
Well, and thank you, council, for having the vision to be able to do these things and see what, you know, to be proactive. So thank you all. All right, so if there's nothing else, then look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All right, Renee and I think Larry or Catherine. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. If you guys can give me 5 minutes, because I'm trying to get my internet signal back up on my computer. So give me 5 and then we'll start up again. Thank you.
I'm here.
Okay, roll call. Saban,
Still here.
Schreiber,
Here?
Bergbauer.
Here.
Galogly,
Here.
Deskin,
Here.
Lobes,
Here.
Bartleson,
Here.
and Peretta.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, very good. Okay, everybody, I'm looking to have a motion to have a consent agenda this evening.
I'll make that motion.
Catherine?
Second.
Mark, seconded, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Consent, pretty simple tonight. We have, looking for approval for committee of, the whole meeting minutes, regular city council meeting minutes, and our payroll period ending April 19th. So looking for a motion to approve the consent.
Motion.
Second.
Seconded by Joanne. Kathy, can I have a roll call, please?
Saban,
Yes.
Schreiber,
Yes.
Bergbauer,
Yes.
Galogly,
Yes.
Deskin,
Yes.
Lobes,
Yes.
Bartleson,
Yes.
and Peretta.
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, first item here is looking for a motion to approve our bills through April 28th.
Motion.
Renee,
Second.
seconded by, I think, Christina.
Yep.
Can I have a roll or any discussion, concerns? May I have a roll call, please, Kathy?
You got it. Saban,
Yes.
Schreiber,
Yes.
Bergbauer,
Yes.
Galogly,
I abstain because the city of Lockport is paying my employer for construction material.
Deskin,
Yes.
Lobes,
Yes.
Bartleson,
Yes.
Peretta.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, CA1, what do you got, Ben?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This is the agreement with Pro Champs that we previously discussed. Right here, an echo, but we've got the approval resolution. There's a couple items. Sonny will handle the second one, which is having the ordinance language to reflect the agreements that we're doing with the Pro Champs. But for now, I'm seeking approval for Resolution 20050. That's the two agreements with Champions, Pro Champs that we had previously discussed. One is the registration of the vacant and foreclosed properties, and the second one is for the registration of rental properties. I have those agreements in front of me. If anybody has any other questions, I think we answered all that we had been asked in the past, and we're seeking approval.
All right, so we're looking for a motion.
I'll motion.
Renee?
So moved.
Seconded by Mark. Questions, concerns, then? Okay, can I do a roll call, please, Kathy?
You got it. Saban,
Yes.
Schreiber,
Yes.
Bergbauer,
Yes.
Galogly,
Yes.
Deskin,
Yes.
Lobes,
Yes.
Bartleson. Okay, and Peretta.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, next thing we're looking for is a motion to approve AT1, which is the ordinance requiring the registration of foreclosed properties, vacant properties, and rental properties. Have a motion?
Motion again.
Did you want me to discuss it since we didn't
Yeah.
have the ordinance?
We'll discuss it.
Oh,
We'll
okay.
do the motion first. I didn't do it in the last one, but I like to mix it up. So, Renee, anybody else second this?
Second.
All right, second by Mark. So please, questions, concerns after Sunny gives a little talk.
Yes. Mayor, members of the city council, just make sure you can hear me, right? Okay, good. So part of the agreement with Pro Champs is that the city of Lockport has to pass an ordinance to require the registration of the properties. If this ordinance does not pass and it's not in effect within 6 months, then their agreement is null and void. So part of the ordinance 20-010, what it does is require certain properties within the city of Lockport to be registered. And it adds 2 articles into chapter 151 that was not being used. So Article 1 includes the registration of foreclosed property and also vacant property. So if you have a property that's going through foreclosure, there's a default on the mortgage. the mortgagee, the bank, is required to register that property. And this actually includes both residential and commercial properties. And this registration is on a semi-annual basis. So they would have to register, the bank would have to register, and the registration fee is $200 for 6 months and another $200 for the second 6 months. The second part of that registratable property is a vacant property. A vacant property is a property that's unoccupied or vacant for more than 30 days. And you would have to register that property. I did, out of abundance of precaution, add into the exception to that registration for a vacant property. For instance, if you own the property, you're trying to remodel it, rehab it, and you have an active permit, and you come in and you sign an affidavit saying that you are actively rehabbing that property, you don't have to register that property for a year. If you own a vacant property, you're in the hospital, you are, out of the country, or for whatever reason, you sign an affidavit, and the property is actually maintained, the vacant property is maintained, you don't have to register that property for a year. If you are also trying to actively market that property and you maintain that property, you don't have to register that property for a year. The second component of the registration is the registration of a rental property. The rental property registration only applies to residential properties, not commercial. So if you have a property that you're registering, and it could be that it doesn't necessarily have to be you're paying a rent. It could be if you are paying some type of services. It could be, any other arrangements, but you are paying some type of consideration for that rental property, you're required to register that property. And this is an annual basis, and it depends on how many units for that property. So for a rental property with 1 unit, it's $50 per year, and then it goes on a set schedule. If you have 2 units, it's $90, all the way up to if you have 26 plus units, then it's $300 per year. And part of that is part of our agreement with ProChamps, that all the registration fees are shared with ProChamps because they provide the software to identify and assist in registering those properties. And the actual registration, they identify them, they assist with finding those properties, they send out the notices, and then if they don't register, then we ultimately have to enforce that. So what's presented to you is that ordinance. The only question, if this is approved, is when to determine the effective date of the ordinance. So I know with COVID-19, with things slowing down, I don't suggest making this effective immediately. We've discussed maybe possibly internally, making the effective date June 15th and making the registration date July 1st. So then that kind of sets the parameter. If you have to register property semi-annually, then it's July 1st, and then the other one is January 1st is the other deadline. Or if you rent a property, then it starts, July 1st. So if there are any questions, I will be more than happy to try to answer them.
Okay. I'm fine with your recommended dates, Sonny, so as far as that goes, I'm good.
What else? Anybody have anything else you want to add? Okay, then can we do a roll call, please, Kathy?
You got it. Saban,
Yes.
Schreiber,
Yes.
Bergbauer,
Yes.
Galogli,
Yes.
Deskin,
Yes.
Lobes,
Yes.
Bartleson. That's okay. I saw your mouth move. And Beretta.
There we go.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, my friends, that's everything tonight. Anybody have any last words they want to say before we close out? All good? All right. Everybody,
There is a question on the bottom. Did you want to answer that?
I'm sorry, what's that?
What?
There's apparently a question that someone's asking.
Oh, yeah, I see the chat. Let's see what it is. It says here, well, that's just a very quick. Here's another one. Just trying to make all sound good. All right, nope, so,
Oh, we lost you.
It might have actually been me.
Hold on, we can't hear, he doesn't know.
it's
We can't
just,
hear you.
okay. Larry, Mark, all in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear any of that. I'm sorry, who said, who motioned?
Aye.
I who? Darren?
Yes.
Thank you.
You got it now, Kathy? Sorry.
No, who seconded?
Oh, all right. Who's motioning to adjourn?
Motion.
Larry. Who seconds?
Second.
Thank
Renee.
you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nice. All right. Got it, Kathy?
Thank you.
We're good.
All right,
Bye.
thank you. All right, bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
I guess I won't see you at the Moose.
So what was the question?
We couldn't hear him.
Huh?
There was a question that showed up in the chat.
Oh, it was from Jeff Bra.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nothing, okay.